Hi guys, I think it's a few weeks ago now when I promised to do a little tutorial on how to make these surreal alien sky type images. Um, they look really fancy and quite complicated, but like most things, once you know the technique, they're fairly simple really. And if you've seen the tutorial on how to make the time shift merge images, that it's pretty similar to that. So it's basically laying one photo on top of the other and removing bits of it, erasing bits of it to reveal the image underneath and then blending them together. It helps, as with the time shifts, if you've got images that you know are going to work anyway and that or are going to work more easily than others, and you'll soon get an eye for that. And I'll explain a little bit as I'm going along. But as with everything else, practice makes perfect. So we'll crack on with this, and if you've got Photoshop or similar editing software, and the sooner you get started at it and have a go and make a few mistakes and just learn as you go, and all the better really. So you've seen a few images that I've made, and I'm now going to make one, a completely new one, using a relatively new photo, one of the ones of the cathedral across the temperature inversion from South Common from over a week ago now, I suppose it was. Misty images are particularly good for this because they give you a sort of an easy way in to merge, and same with clouds. Really, clouds are sort of the easiest thing to create a merge, and the line between the two images will disappear nicely with either clouds or mist. So here we are. This is actually an old version of Photoshop Element. This is Element 5, which I've been using for, I don't know, 15 years or more now. It's my first version of Photoshop, and I love it. I've got 14 and 18 as well, which I use for different things, which is video editing, but for doing these I often go back to version 5, and you'll see why. Okay, so I've got the two images open that I'm going to use. That's one of the photos of the cathedral above the mist, which people seem to like, and this is just a stock image or piece of alien sky wallpaper that you can get for free off the internet. There's, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of these sorts of images. You got to pay for them. Just choose one that you like, and you think will match up with the other photo that you're using, and then you're away. Okay, so that's going to be the sky, the top half bit with the planet in it. You won't see the land down the bottom, just the planet in the sky that we need. I'll go back to the cathedral one. Okay, now with lots of these, depending on how much sky you've got, how much room you've got up at the top here, you can just put one of the images on top of the other. You can just imagine if I try to put the planet image on top of the cathedral, there just isn't the room. There isn't the room in the sky up here. If the cathedral was down the bottom here, you could just put one on top of the other and erase away, and you'd be fine. But because there's not a lot of sky above the cathedral, we have to add a third layer. So we go into the Create menu just up here, Photo Layout, and you get all these various templates. Select that first one with just a one big frame. You can use these for all sorts of things. I use these for collages as well. Okay, now just rotate that 90 degrees. We want it portrait mode when it's taller than it is wide. Make it fit on the screen. Okay, as we're going along, it'll all become obvious. Now we just drag the cathedral image into the frame. Take a few seconds to load up. Okay, now we right click, which brings up this menu, and then we fit frame to photo. Okay, and now by dragging the corners in, we can actually make sure that most of it is on sort of the base layer. Okay, there we go. And now using the arrow keys, just move it down to the bottom. And see how much space we've got to work with. Okay. That was okay. Now we have to go into the layer menu up here, the drop-down menu, and merge those layers together. So that is now our base layer. background layer, and now we can drag the sky, the planet, onto the top of that. As usual, these free images are smaller, so we'll just drag it out to the same width. Okay, click that OK. Now the first thing that you can see, the sky in the planet image is a lot darker. So we'll just do something about that first. So we'll go to the Enhance menu, adjust lighting, shadows and highlights, and lighten the shadows. We don't really want too much of that dark blue because it'll stand out. That's sort of a night sky with stars in it. Post sunset, it's a bit surreal, not particularly realistic to have a sky that bright with stars shining in the daytime. So we can lighten that up a little bit, go as far as you like until it starts looking okay. But just remember, in this planet layer, this area here of the landscape and the hills, that's all going to be erased up to the top of this pink layer somewhere. Okay, so you're going to get rid of all of that. It's the top half of the planet image that is going to blend and merge with your cathedral image. Okay, now move this bit out of the way. Don't need that. Now, if you remember this little piece here, this little block here of the opacity, if we click on that, get a little slider, slide it along, and it suddenly makes the layer see-through. Basically, see what's underneath it. Now, just go so we can see a little bit through it, and then again, using the arrow keys, we can move this down a bit because we know that we only really want the top half of the image. I've got to get rid of all of the landscape on it, the hills in that top planet image. Okay, so we'll go to there for now. Back to the Opacity Slider, back up to 100%. Now we'll use this tool here on the left to crop this down because we don't need all that wasted space at the top. Image crop. Okay, view, fit on screen. Now we can see what we're doing a bit better. Now, that little top tool there, that's selected the top layer. So if you come over here to the layer menu again, the one that's highlighted is the layer that is active. That's the one that we're working on. Okay, which is the planet. Now we use an eraser over here, literally erase away that layer. Now you want to use quite a big one, and as we've said before, up to here, look as well in the drop-down menu, you get all these different brushes. You don't want one like that, which has got sharp edges. Now you can make them bigger by going along there. That will have sharp edges. We don't want that. We want blurred edges that will merge nicely. So we'll go all the way down till we find the blurred ones. Then we change the size again. You can actually make it pretty big. The bigger the brush, the more of a sort of a feathered edge there is, more of a blurred edge. So we can be down here. If you see, it's actually erasing quite a bit outside the actual circle, but it's doing it very gradually. And you can take your time with this. You don't want to erase too much too quickly, and you can start to see the cathedral is coming out now. I just want to get rid of this branch, bit of tree and leaves over there on the right hand side. So I'll bring the cathedral out. Gradually work our way up the planet. I think we'll get rid of most of that pink. The pink looks a bit odd, really. The rest of the sky's different shades of grey and blue. Okay, now I don't know if you can see, but I can just start to see, just get rid of that tool for a minute. Just along here, I can start to see the layer underneath the planet at the top, which hasn't got anything on it. So go back to the opacity slider again. See what I mean? We're trying to get that checked background layer just appearing. Okay, so we can either go back and undo the erasing that we've just done and do it again, or we can make the top layer planet layer active again. Look over here, and it's highlighted in the layer menu, and move it down. I was going to move it down anyway, to be honest, get the planet as close to the cathedral as we can. And then that's now got to run over the background layer, that checkered background layer. You can go down maybe a bit further, far down as you dare, before the planet layer starts to erase the cathedral towers. It's just starting to go over the cathedral towers just there. We'll get the eraser maybe slightly smaller, because we want to be aware of revealing that checkered layer underneath again. A bit bigger. And just dabble around the cathedral towers and along. I think the cathedral towers are fairly sharp now. There's a bit of mist in the image anyway, so it's not that crisp and clear. You are looking through the mist, as I say, but you can't see any of that checkered layer underneath. I don't think it's not coming through. We're going to the opacity again now, which is way up there. Okay, so I think that's looking pretty good. Apologies for catching the top drop down screen for the zoom which I'm using to record it, and then we'll use this tool again to crop it. We don't need the checkered bit at the top. Image crop. There you go. That looks pretty good to me. Now you can go into the view menu and zoom in. It's a bit ponderous in old versions of Photoshop. It's Photoshop element. It's easier in newer versions, but you can look along the join there. You can see the cathedral towers are pretty sharp. There is a line there, but that line is actually part of the temperature inversion in the bottom image. That's just a layer of cloud beyond the cathedral, beyond the city. That's not a Photoshop aberration. It's perfectly natural. The view, film the screen again. Get rid of that. But yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. So yeah, you've got this a real night sky with the stars shining through, which you wouldn't get in daylight. But hey, you wouldn't get a massive ringed planet with several moons either in daylight over Lincoln. So we won't quibble too much about little surreal elements to it. Final thing, go into layer, merge visible. It's all created one layer again. You can see over here on the right hand side in the layer box, one layer, and there you go. You can resize it to make it bigger, smaller, but just for now, just leave it at that. Save it, a title, and nice surreal art for your wall. Excellent. So, I hope that made sense. Let me know if it didn't. I'll do another one. Or if I've said anything that's nonsensical, correct in the comments. But yeah, there you go. I don't think that too long. Would have been a lot quicker without me chatting. So off you go. Go and download yourself a few free alien sky wallpapers and have a play. It'd be nice to see what you come up with. Okay. Bye for now.